Guys, if you've been feeling this burning urge lately to quit your job and finally go after the passion you have, this is a story you need to hear. I am so excited for today's episode, and as you probably can tell from the title or thumbnail, we have a special guest, a dear friend of mine, dreamer, creative director, artist, and the visionary behind LBT Gallery. Today's guest, Anna Irvine, is an absolute creative powerhouse and frankly, one of the funniest and most passionate people I know. After several years in corporate, Anna followed those said passions and built a fine art collective that brings beauty out of the traditional galleries and into real life spaces. Her work blends myth, nature, and cultural storytelling, creating unforgettable experiences. She's not just an amazing painter and curator, she's changing how we experience art, and there is so much depth that goes into this beautiful story of the quintessential quit my job to pursue art, except this one I promise has a little bit of spice. I can't wait for you to hear it. Stay tuned for the full breakdown right after this message from our sponsor, Riverside. We want to take a few minutes to tell you about a new end-to-end recording and podcasting platform that can help you find your dream audience and customers called Riverside. It has such a beginner-friendly interface and it's super intuitive even from the first time that you go in. This way you can spend less time tinkering with fancy editing softwares and spend more time clarifying your message, what actually matters. It's powered by AI to cut out speech breaks, create clips automatically, and transcribe your videos. So no more manual captions. These are just a few of the many features. Personally, some of my favorites are the high quality recording features, the magic clips, the captioning, and the teleprompter screen that comes up when you're recording. We've used a high quality recording to host 2 international guests virtually, and it was so easy for them to join, set up. All they had to do was press a button and they were brought into the studio at the max quality for their computers and audio. You can even record up to 4K and adjust the audio pre or post production to make it sound like you're in a studio. I love using the chat features, the script, and the teleprompter to stay on top of discussion points. And it's not just for podcasters. If you want to edit long or short form video for Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts, or even host a live stream, it's got you covered. They have so many fun features to play around with. You can even add in customized branding and animate your captions so they move when you're speaking. And lastly, with the magic clips feature, we're able to make 10 plus pieces of content from one episode in literally just 1 second. I'm not kidding you. Press a button and it creates these different pieces of content for you about the juiciest parts of your episode. So if you're ready to pull the trigger and get your content out there with a frictionless editor and recorder, be sure to use the code IFOMA, which is IFEOMA, to get 15% off your paid plans. And biggest of all, thank you so much to Riverside for sponsoring today's episode. Without further ado, let's get into today's conversation. And today we are joined with my very lovely, beloved friend, Anna Irvine. Just learned to say her name correctly. We both went to college together, and she has just had like such an incredible past, and just like she's gone from like corporate to now she's an art dealer, and there's so many things in between, and I'm always bragging about her because I think her story is so cool. And this podcast is really just for people like us to know that there's options, and I want to highlight these amazing people's stories and just share what they've done, just so that you know that you can do it too, whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're going towards. And yeah, I'm excited to chat today. Yeah, so we're just gonna jump into the questions, and if you guys have any feedback, any questions for her, just anything you think of, drop them in the chat and we will try to get to them next time and answer them as much as we can. And let's get into the episode. Anna,
hello.
Hi. Thanks for having us here. This is her space, by the way. This is like, I mean, now that she owns the building, but
no, I own the whole tower.
You own the whole tower. No, this incredible space that she let us use for today. And I'll let you get into like how all of this came to be. But before we get into like what you're doing now, like tell us about yourself, your past, how you started, like everything.
Yeah. So I am an artist. I've been an artist my whole life. And I am actually an immigrant from Bulgaria. And South Africa.
I know. I'm just learning that too, which is why I love these things, because I just learned more about my friends. So yes.
And so I was born in Bulgaria. My family and I lived in South Africa for a little bit, and then we came to the US, moved around a ton because my dad was a software engineer, and he worked on architecture and stuff for some very complex projects. His skills were in great demand, shall we say.
Yeah. Do you think that kind of trickled into the family?
Yes.
I know architecture is a little bit more technical, but
yeah, I feel like, so my dad always had a dream to have his own company, and he had all these ideas for like the longest time, but because we were immigrants and we are immigrants, my dad valued stability over chasing his dream because he wanted to provide stability for my mom and I and my brother. And a lot of times when you're responsible for other people, you sacrifice what you want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So basically he had to, do a traditional corporate job. And, but I get that. I feel like I get my entrepreneurial spirit a lot from my dad, and also partially from my mom. They just, they didn't really pursue that. Yeah. But, I basically, grew up mostly in Texas and got a degree in risk management and insurance, which is so fun.
So ironic,
so
too.
Sexy. Honestly, the coolest job ever, coolest degree ever.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I did enjoy a risk management, and in college I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But then when I got out into the workforce, I don't know, I just got bored very easily.
Yeah.
And my attention, I just couldn't keep my attention on that. And so what often happened is I found myself like hopping from job to job to job because I felt like I would master something and then I'd get bored. And then hop to another thing and then get bored.
What were you hopping to? Like what jobs specifically did you start in?
So I started as like a process improvement intern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was a lot of like other financial things that I was working on, but the simplest way to say is process improvement.
This is all under the risk management.
Yeah, risk management
industry.
Yeah,
okay.
for an insurance company.
Okay.
Doing life insurance and annuities. And then I got bored of that and I was like, let me do something exciting. And then I got a sales internship at Liberty Mutual.
Okay.
And then I did that and realized that the sales environment is not for me. Not in the traditional call center sales way.
Okay.
It was not my cup of tea.
Okay.
And so after that, I went into, what did I do after that? I worked for a smaller organization.
Okay.
Doing contractor recruiting and onboarding.
Oh, wow.
For a larger banking client.
Wow. There's so many like areas of this job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's like, there's the recruiting aspect. There's also the like onboarding process improvement again aspect.
Okay.
And also project management aspect because I was keeping track of like the budgets and the deadlines and the case studies and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I got bored of that.
Okay, walk me through getting bored. What does that mean? Is it like, I'm so good at this?
What happens is like I go somewhere and I'm like a fixer-upper type person.
Yeah.
And so I go somewhere, I see the disaster that is their process or like,
I see.
or that is the thing.
Yeah.
The problem. And then I'm like, I'm going to fix this. And then I fix it. I make it beautifully efficient. And I'm like, okay, my job is done.
Interesting.
I'm like, I feel like I can move on because like that satisfied that itch in my brain to like conquer something.
Right.
And then I'm like,
all right, done.
Yeah, done. On to the next thing. And because like if I stay there, like sure there's like other things I can fix up, but like to me, like there wasn't a lot of upward mobility in that particular organization either. So maybe if there was, it would have been different.
Yeah, because then you have more things to fix.
Exactly.
You just keep going up.
You just keep going up and up. Then I went to Baylor Scott and White and I did program management. And I did that for 2 years. And then I decided that the pay was just not, I wasn't happy with it, to say the least. I was like, wow, I'm doing a lot of work
for this
I'm not pay that I'm not happy with. And so I was like, I feel like I want to also it's like not, I was having fun at the job, and that was probably, of all the corporate jobs, that was my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I truly felt like I was being challenged every day.
Nice.
I loved my team. I loved my colleagues more than any other job, and I still miss them dearly to this day. I'm in touch with a lot of them.
Oh, that's nice.
But again, it's just not where my heart was.
Yeah.
And there's not there might even be nothing wrong with the job itself. It's just not for me.
Oh my God, that's so like, that's just so relevant, because I feel like it's been coming up lately. I was talking with somebody about this too. It's like, what do you do when like what you have in front of you isn't bad? It's just not good. And it's like, sometimes we think we have to stay just because it's not bad.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's going to fulfill us.
Exactly.
Because you can't just keep doing things or taking things on, jobs, people, relationships, whatever, just because they're not bad, or like it's like good enough. And it's like, why aren't we going towards what feels the most aligned?
And it especially feels weird when other people are like, really want your job.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, Annie, you're so lucky. And I was lucky. I was lucky to have that job, and I was lucky to work with amazing people and be in an amazing organization.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. If I am not fulfilled every day, and if I have like anxiety about going into work every single day, what am I doing?
What are you doing? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit, kind of go back to what you were saying about your parents and like being an immigrant.
Yeah.
And, you know, like even your dad's decisions, like choosing stability over maybe that fulfillment or that risk to go after all this entrepreneurial stuff. Because I see, especially a lot of immigrant kids, especially, I mean, most of our parents are technically entrepreneurs, just like leaving their country. I mean, that's a risk in and of itself. And I find that it's so ironic, because they're like going out of their way to do something so risky. They probably find the stability because it's so hard to like, you know, start over in a completely new country. And then they're like very heavy on stability. And I think that's what they raise us in, kind of in like, you know, get the job, get the degree, get the pay, get the retirement, the benefits, like, and don't leave those boxes.
Exactly.
So when you were a child and you're growing up, how were you like interpreting this? Were you kind of thinking about that passion ever when you were making your decisions? Like, how did that affect you?
I don't blame my parents for choosing what they chose, because like a person only has so much risk appetite.
Totally.
So, and it's so funny because whenever and I'll answer your question in a
second,
second,
go ahead. Yeah.
Whenever I quit my job, my very well picked, and I didn't mention that after that I went to do a contract that was with another insurance company after Liberty Mutual. It was only 4 months. But it was very lucrative. And my parents were like, "Oh, that's a great job. Like, you're getting paid like over twice your previous salary." And you know, and but when I quit that one too,
they were like, why?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I told my dad, because they were concerned that I was leaving behind stability, and a very, very nice salary, and I was telling my dad, like, I know this sounds crazy. What I'm doing looks crazy. But I need you to put into perspective with what you did, which is you left your country in your early or late 20s, mid-20s, let's say mid-20s.
Yep.
With you left your country to go acquire a work visa in a completely other country that you didn't know how to speak the main language.
Yeah, I know.
He was in South Africa. He didn't know how to speak English.
It's crazy.
He worked in a pizzeria. He was a engineer by education. He worked in a pizzeria for I don't know how many months, let's say 3 months. To learn English enough to go to a proper interview.
Wow.
For an engineering role.
Wow.
And then during that time, he got violently ill with some sort of African virus.
Oh my God.
And he lost like 30 pounds really rapidly. He he almost died.
Oh my God.
And but all in this pursuit of finding something better, because in Bulgaria the economy was crumbling.
Yeah.
So how was he going to support me and my mother, a newborn, and my mother, with the crumbling economy of his own country? So he decided he was going to, you know, launch himself into the unknown. And I'm like, and with very little money. He had to, you know, put a deposit, I think, like the way it worked back then is you put a deposit to the government as like a guarantee that you're coming back. I might be describing this really wrong.
Hey,
but basically, like, my uncle sold his car for my dad to put that deposit down or something.
Wow.
And so
interesting.
Yeah. And so, like, it's like a insurance policy that you're coming back to Bulgaria.
Okay.
Yeah. They didn't want people leaving the country.
And so he's like taking all these risks.
Yeah, he's taking ginormous financial risks. Yeah. And just everything risks. And I was like, that's beautiful. And because of these risks and decisions that you made, I now have this like entire world open to me that wasn't open. And it wouldn't have been opened if we stayed in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wouldn't you want me to take advantage
of that?
Of all of this that you did for me? Like, I don't want to almost like have your sacrifice be in vain.
Exactly.
For me to work in a job that I'm miserable in for the rest of my life for the sake of stability.
Yeah.
When, like, clearly stability isn't everything.
Yeah, because it has its pros where, like, you know, you have your children have new advantages that they never had before, and you know, you're able to put food on the table. You don't have to worry about the basic survival needs. But then I think there's kind of like this, I see it in a lot of, like, you know, I would say the previous generation, just like, it's kind of like this like unfinishedness, like, to the career. It's kind of like, I can provide for my family, but there's not like this like fulfillment and like level of joy. And I think I grew up myself always kind of seeing that, like, there was never like, I'm so excited for my job every single day. And I always wondered how to bridge that gap, because it's like, I say that all the time, like, why wouldn't I come with all this opportunity you've given me and make the most of it? Because I don't know about you, but like, working in a corporate job, it kind of felt like half of my capacity. It never felt like I was fully challenged. You know? I struck a nerve.
You struck a nerve. Because, like, I literally the times, there are so many times where I've in all the organizations I've been in where I propose really cool things. Because I know you would. I know I can do it. I know you would. I know I can deliver. And it gets shot down. And either because people are afraid of change, or that's not in your job description, Anna. That's marketing's job. That's X, Y, and Z's job. You're taking their, like, stealing their thunder. And it would just like kill me every time, because I would get so like passionate, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and if we do this and this and this, and it works so beautifully together, it doesn't matter. I know. It's not made for it's not made for visionaries. If you have any kind of vision, it's gonna lead to that boredom that you were talking about, and two, it's just gonna kill all drive. It's like all this pent up excitement, energy, work, passion, and one thing I found working for other people, putting all that energy, it never benefits you, because it's either like you're putting it there, it'll probably lasts for a little bit until somebody else comes in and takes over. Or it's like you're putting in all this energy and it's absolutely going nowhere and you're burnt out. The result isn't there. So it's like, what's the point? And I think someone like you have such a vision and you can execute. Like, those are two different. It's very different skills. And doing both is hard. It's hard. And it's like, if you can do that, why not put it towards your own thing? You know? So it gets exhausting when you light a fire in your heart with the work that you're doing. It gets extinguished. Then you light another fire for something else. It gets extinguished.
Yeah.
And then it happens over and over and over again. And then you just, it like numbs you. You you turn into this like shell.
Yeah.
And you start to like dismiss creative thoughts. You start to like just brush off like your passions. You start to mute your creativity for your sanity's sake. For your to preserve your own sanity, you have to like put your head down and just do what you're told to do. And I, for the life of me, can't do that.
No, I can't.
I cannot do that because I can't do that. Yeah. It's
no ifs, ands, or buts.
Just I can't do it.
Okay, so like what happened between like the insurance jobs and now? What like made you take the leap? Because you were like, I can't do this anymore. Like mute myself.
Yeah.
You know?
So I would essentially see, I have a friend who's an entrepreneur and I just saw her, how much like fun she's having doing her events and her networking stuff. And I was like, wow, like that looks really fun. And I saw how she was monetizing her passion.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's a way to do this ethically. Yeah. There's a way to do this where you're having fun.
Yeah.
And clearly she's doing it.
Yeah.
And so I started to like daydream. It started off as like, well, let me dabble in this. Let me help her out with some of her events. Let me participate in some way. And then one day we sat down for a coffee and she was like, what if you started your own company? And at first I was like, girl, shut up.
Were you like opposed to the idea? You're like, I'm not a business person.
Listen, that of all the things that are not going to happen, that's not going to happen the most.
What was that? Did it feel like that's just not my life, or I'm not into that?
I was like, okay, what are my colleagues gonna think? What are the aunties gonna think?
The aunties. We love the aunties.
And in Bulgarian circles, like your auntie is not your literal auntie.
Yes,
it's
100%
it's like a family friend, but they're an auntie.
Anyone your parents respect and bring around as an auntie or uncle.
Or uncle. Or like, what are they gonna think? Like, what is family overseas gonna think? What are my parents gonna think? Like, is my husband gonna be opposed to it? And obviously I haven't talked to anyone about this, but I make assumptions in my head. Everyone's gonna be against it according to the little voice in my head. So I'm like, I'm not even gonna disappoint myself by entertaining this. And so I love this, that she like persisted. She was like, no, like think about it, like visualize, sit here and visualize. What would it practically look like for you to start a company today? Let's say you don't quit your job, but what would you do next week? Would you host an event? Like, let's envision this. Yeah. And so I, because she's my friend and I love her, I entertained it, but only like half-assed entertainment.
You were like, fine, I'll do it for you. Yeah.
For you. Yeah. And then I started to like think about it a little bit more. And I was like, okay, like maybe I could do this as like a side gig. Sure. And I started to like participate in art shows. I met some art people. I would like go and go to art days in Dallas and just get in the art scene and immerse myself. And people started to get to know me. And I started to see how the art world functions and what the major gaps were. And what I started to see how artists felt about the art world. Like there are pain points in the art world that need to be addressed. And I was like, well, maybe I could do something about that. And so I started like June of 2023. Yeah. I decided I was going to start a company. I sat down and started my LLC and started going through the trademarking process and just going through all that legal stuff. And because I had a very lucrative job, I had a lot of disposable income to pour into setting up the legal framework of my new organization.
Love it. And then when had you quit the contract job or maybe you didn't even accept it.
I did accept it.
4 months.
4 months.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Okay.
4 months I accepted it and I did the work. And I wasn't initially planning on quitting. I was like, this is a lot of money. Like I'm
gonna take it.
I'm gonna take it. Like, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And it was over twice the salary that I was getting at my previous job. And so I was like, that would be stupid of me not to take this. Mm-hmm. And then I did the job and I loved the people at that job, but the work was not for me.
Yeah.
Of all of the jobs that I've done, I disliked the work of the contract job the most.
Doesn't it suck? It's like a big paycheck.
A big paycheck.
And then
stupid big paycheck. and just like, every day, every single day. And I would work really late hours.
Oh, okay.
Because of I was just so unfamiliar with like what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and I didn't have time for the gym. I didn't have time to take care of my dogs. I didn't have time to pay attention to my husband. I didn't have time to do the cooking I love to do, making new recipes that I love to make. Just like I lost myself in this job that paid very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Could we ask how much? Ballpark,
significantly into the
six-figure range.
Six-figure range. And so I was like,
duh.
I was like, I was out earning my husband by a significant amount. And so I was like, yeah.
But it comes with a price with all this.
Yeah,
you know?
Everything comes with
everything
the price.
Comes with the price.
There's nothing that like, you don't just get to, and of course, there are people who love this type of work, and to them it doesn't come with a price because they just love, love finance.
Right. No, that's a really important point because I think it's not blanket statement for everybody, but when something's coming at a price for you.
Yes.
When you can't enjoy the things you like to do, you don't feel like yourself. And my argument is it's not worth it.
No.
Long term, for sure.
And it hit me when I went to like Renfest.
What's Renfest?
Renaissance Festival.
Oh, okay.
In like South Texas.
Oh, wait, is that where they like
dress up and everything? Yeah, like cosplay and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I went to Renfest and I couldn't even enjoy myself. Because I was like, I have this big meeting on Monday and I have to prepare for this thing. I need to get back home and work. I need to get back home and prep for this meeting. There's a bit like I'm going to be talking to like the CFO, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, is this worth it? Mm-hmm. I am like not present anywhere I go or whatever I do. I'm not enjoying myself because I'm like thinking about what I need to do for work. And so it got to a breaking point where I talked to Connor, my husband, about it. And I was like, what do you think if I quit my job?
Yeah.
And at first he was like, it was a touchy it was a touchy subject. He never said no.
Right.
But I saw like the
really?
Let's talk like, about really? It. That's interesting. And he was like, let's talk about the sacrifices we're going to have to make.
Right.
And because we're living very comfortably at this time and we have a lot of disposable income and all of that disposable income is going to go away.
Right. Things are going to change.
Yeah, things are going to change and in a hard way.
Yeah.
And so he was like, if this means that you're going to be happier and more present in our lives, then 100% quit.
Yeah.
Because he's seeing me drowning every day and sacrificing my mental health for a paycheck.
Yeah.
And he's already seen me struggle with my mental health once. He doesn't want to see that again.
Yes.
He does not want to see that again.
Yeah. And I don't think I know people are talking about it more, but I don't think it's just emphasized how much that price affects your mental health.
Yeah.
And how your mental health affects literally everything in your life.
Yeah.
And
and it's easy for us when we're super young in our early 20s. Like there are organizations, I will not name names, that have reputations of burning and churning through their workforce. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my friends work for said organizations. And when you're young and you have energy, you're like, yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
I can sacrifice a few years of working 80 plus hours. No biggie. Yeah. In 3 years, you've aged faster. You're clawing your way out of that organization.
Seriously.
You're like struggling. And you're begging for anyone and everyone to take you, even if you have to take a pay cut, because you just can't do it anymore. And I have multiple friends in that position. Mm-hmm. And if I were to ask some of them, was it worth it? I don't think every one of them would say it was worth it.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like it would be the minority, because what we don't like realize or appreciate is how much that energy poured into the right places can do just as much good. Just as that, like, as much as that mental health can make things negative in your life. Mm-hmm. You lose sleep, you lose your relationships, you lose your excitement, your hope.
Yeah.
It can also, like, being poured in the right direction, it can create so many things, like it does for you, like your career. You start networking with the right people, you start living in the right places. Like I mean, this year has taught me that so much, like just intentionally putting that energy in the right places instead of into things that are not for me. It actually does pay off. Like it actually does work. And I think that's why it's just so beautiful to see like people who are doing it, like your friend, like being that example for you, because it's like that rubs off on people. People are like, oh, I can see how this can be positive for me.
I mean, when people see it on the day-to-day practical level, it's so much easier to put yourself in their shoes. Like if I didn't have a friend who was an entrepreneur, there's absolutely no way I would have known what being an entrepreneur looks like on the day-to-day. I don't know what that, like, if you were, many people, when you talk to them about like being independent and doing your own thing, finding your own way to find financial success, they're like, what does that mean?
It's so in the
obscure.
Air. Yeah, abstract.
It's so abstract and obscure, and a lot of the times it's a scam.
yeah, that's true. It's abstract because a lot of times people are not telling the truth,
the full story.
Right.
And there are organizations that prey on people who want to be financially independent, and then there's that whole stigma with it.
Yeah,
and so, like, you're not set up to succeed sometimes when you're trying to like envision yourself in a independent future. And
no, that makes sense. And I want to talk to you too about like what that reality actually looks like, because that's like I always tell her it's like the quintessential story of like quit my job to be an artist, and like seeing how you've done it is like, oh, this is so much more practical. I can see how somebody can actually do that. But before that, I want to get back to what you were saying too about like how you started getting into this art world by attending shows, exposing yourself beforehand. So like, how did all of that lead up to like, this is now my career choice? I know you at that point you were still like, I'm just going, but I'm not going to be an artist like or art dealer full on, you know?
So one thing that I will always thank my parents for is the delusional confidence they gave me.
I love that. I love it.
So it's so funny because whenever I used to apply for jobs that were like I was not qualified for, like not even remotely qualified for, my mom would be like, "You're gonna apply anyways." I'm like, "Mom, they require like 10 years of experience and like 3 certifications." And also, you have to have solved world hunger to apply for this job. And she's like, "You solved world hunger." And we're going to explain how you did it in your resume.
I love that. That is one thing about immigrant parents. If they want something, they're going to get it.
They will get it.
They will get it.
And so my mom, she would help me like position myself.
That's good.
In ways that would get me what I wanted.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times you have to ask for what you want. And also you have to behave like it's already yours. Because if you don't believe you belong in that job, how is the interviewer supposed to believe you belong in that job?
Yes.
How is anybody else supposed to like you need to gaslight yourself.
Literally. Like in the positive direction.
In the positive direction.
Yes.
And I gaslight my friends also in a
Wait, I think that's why talks. That's
that
like beige
could be
flag.
clipped and so.
You know, I know.
But like, no, for real.
I think I do too.
Yeah, no, because my friends are like, I send my friend job applications because she wants like a particular job. And she's like, Anna, I'm not qualified. I'm like, yeah, you are. No, because in your previous job, you did X, Y, and Z. She's like, well, I mean, not exactly. I'm like, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
If you say you did, you did.
You did. Who's going to check?
I love that. And I love that that story you told me, especially about getting into this place. I don't know how much of this I can use. I just love that especially when she was telling me like just like how she got into this world in general. It was literally through like pretending that you have it and telling people, like showing up as that. And I know people say it, but I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, gaslight yourself. Like it actually
gaslight
works.
Girl boss. No, I'm kidding.
No, like that's how they do it, because like you said, if you don't believe something, no one's going to advocate for you. How is anyone like, think about it, if you saw someone on the street and they're walking around like a normal person, are you going to come up to them and be like, it looks like you want an opportunity in finance, let me give it to you? You're not going to know. You have to kind of be the loudest person about your delusions as well, and then that's how you get opportunities.
Absolutely. So I just met last night. Here's one example. Last night, I met, I don't know, he's in the C-suite of Santander. The large organization. And who owns this tower. He's in the C-suite. And I met him, and someone told me that he was in the C-suite. That guy, you know, you should talk to him. So I walked up to him. I was like, it's a pleasure to meet you. I have a vision for a big mural in this building on the first floor. I'm like, I have a bunch of artists who can execute on that. And he's like, okay, text me. I'll get you connected. To the person, the managing company for this building that can get this. I just told the person, I have a vision for a huge set of murals in the lobby that can make this place an attraction.
And okay, let me ask, before that, did you have kind of like this idea that you were going to do this, or you were like, I just see an opportunity in a window here, let's just spit something out?
I thought of it on the spot. And I was like, how can I get value from this interaction? Well, Santander owns this tower. There's a lobby. And there's an opportunity in this lobby for a big mural. That's what I'm going to go talk to him about. Literally delusion at the highest degree.
But that's so good. That's amazing.
So I don't know if that's going to turn into something.
But it might.
It's
a lead.
Because I have so many capable artists that can execute in this in record time. They're going to bring so much life into this building. And people are going to love seeing this on their way to work every day. Like, this is such an easy project. Hugely easy project. So I'm like, this is a no-brainer.
And I think this field of work gives you that benefit of like how you were at your jobs, like always seeing a vision, always seeing something that you can fix and executing on it. And now you have the freedom to do that whenever, however. And I think that's such a, people don't realize of course, you can't literally have everything at all times how you want it, but you can have it all in that way. And I think that's what's so fun about entrepreneurship and being self-employed, is that you can literally design those opportunities to happen, like by putting yourself out there, which is kind of what you were saying earlier to me when we were talking about like your journey. Like, you kind of put yourself in, you submerge, what is it, submerged,
girl, English is my second language, don't count on me.
You really just like put yourself in the art world before you were the artist, which I think is also playing into like the delusion and like pretending. And that's how you started to get connected with the people who, you know, put together what you have now.
You have to like insert yourself in people's business.
Okay. How do we do this?
if you want to be involved in a particular industry,
Yeah.
show up to industry events. For example, in the fine art industry, there are gallery events upon gallery events upon gallery events. Every gallery is begging you to come into their space.
Oh, that makes sense.
Begging you to show them attention.
Yeah.
Show up. Get dressed. Look your best.
Yeah.
For the girls, for the girly pops, if you like to do your makeup, full beat.
Full beat. Yeah. No makeup, full beat.
Full beat.
Full beat, got it.
I'm kidding. You can do whatever you want, but I need a full beat.
Yeah, me too.
So go do that and show up, put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
Day after day.
Yeah.
And week after week. People are going to start learning your name. Whether they want to or not. Oh, that's Anna. Oh, that's Iffy.
Because you're always there.
Because I'm always there.
Are you saying, hey, I'm Anna, like introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'm Anna. I'm an art enthusiast and an artist. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your gallery. Thank you for everything that you do. Get to know them. What do you do? How did you come to own this gallery? Get them talking about themselves. Like, people have a story and they want to be witnessed. People want to be witnessed. People want to have their story told and heard. Love that. So be there to hear their story. Yeah. Eventually they'll get curious about you.
I like that. It's like show up and then give the value. Just keep giving. And then eventually it just makes sense that you're going to be thought of or you're going to get that back. Exactly. Because you're there.
Exactly. And people will get familiar with you. Like, and at the end of the day, like that's what it takes, is showing up for not just them, but yourself. Yeah. Show up for yourself and do the things that you like to do. Yeah. And with that, I was to move on to the how I got this how I got this opportunity. I was modeling for my friend Dina Diamonds, which she is my only jeweler from now on. I'm just saying.
Shout out
to Dina. And she is often a sponsor for my events.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Go Dina.
Go Dina.
Go Dina.
Yes. But I was modeling for Dina for some of her jewelry.
Love.
And she was chit-chatting with someone in leadership at the Tower Club. Okay. And this person in leadership had a vision for a gallery on the walls. And they've had this vision for a while.
Okay.
And all of the sudden, you know, they mention in a conversation next to me as this person's talking to Dina, they're like, yeah, I really wish we had a gallery. I swear, I did this. I'm going to do
this reenactment.
Hi, my name is Anna. I can help you with that. Delusion.
I love it.
Delulu, okay?
And at this point, you hadn't had any tangible experience yet in the art world.
I did have
some. You did have. Okay.
I did have some. So I helped one of my other gallerist friends with her installations.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I've helped her with her shows. Oh. And I had kind of adjacently worked alongside her for a little bit now. And I knew I had the resources and I knew I had the connections to pull this off, because I've spent the last 6 months immersing myself in this world.
I see.
I know people now.
Yeah.
I know people now and I can do this.
I see. So that's another important tip too. And I think just something for maybe aspiring artists or honestly anyone to take note of is you need to be putting in the work so that you're prepared for the opportunity. Right. Because I think it's kind of we expect to go up to someone and get the opportunity, but it's you need to have the value too.
You're not just going to start with having your own gallery. Yeah. You need to help other people with their gallery.
Yeah. And I like that you were literally helping these people, putting their stuff together with them. Yeah. You're learning from them. What's your take on sort of working for free, kind of being that intern in the industry before you're there?
There's a fine line.
Okay.
Because I am the type of person that I will do a lot of free work for the exposure, because I know in the long run what it will get me.
I'm the same.
But there are people who will take advantage of that.
For sure.
And so it takes a little bit of discernment. Like, you need to understand, you need to weigh, like, okay, how much work am I being asked to do?
Yeah.
And how much value am I deriving? And that's a really hard calculation to make.
It is.
And
especially in the beginning when you're like so new to this industry.
And I truly just go off of vibes. I don't know how to make that calculation.
I love that. That's exactly what
But I go off of vibes.
Me too.
And if the vibes are good, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, yes, because to make that calculation a little easier, I think of things in terms of energy.
Yes.
Like, how much energy am I expending?
Yes.
So, like, just say I'm working for somebody for free, which I'm a big advocate because I think these days people are a little bit lazier. They tend to be like, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not showing up.
Right.
And I don't think you should kill yourself working for free. That's not what you should do, because you will burn out, again, energy.
Yeah.
However, if working for somebody feels... I'm working for them for 5 hours and it feels like 30 minutes. I'm having a really good time, which means I can work longer, which means I can learn more, which means I can apply that to what I really want to apply it to. So if I'm having a good time and my energy's up, it's actually being replenished.
Right.
I think I will do that opportunity again, or I'll be more willing to work for free.
Right.
However, if I am working with this person and it's draining me, I'm unmotivated, I don't want to show up, let's just limit that or cut it off, because it's not worth my time. Definitely. Because my energy is being depleted, which means I can't put that energy towards other things.
Right, right.
So
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well, because I do part-time work for another gallery.
Oh, that's cool.
For some cash on the side.
Okay,
to
nice.
Like, you know, because entrepreneurs we supplement our income.
You have to be on the next.
You have to be like, and also there's a lot of exposure that comes with this.
Yeah.
With this job.
Yeah.
And so that helps too. But I am being paid, but the cool thing is that I so deeply, deeply enjoy working for this gallery.
Yeah.
It fills my soul.
Oh, that's so good.
It fills my soul to work for this gallery.
Yeah.
And I have such a fun time, and it does not feel like 5 hours. It feels like half an hour. And so
that's crazy.
Yeah. And so, like, of course, that's a no-brainer. Yes, I'm going to work for them.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, you're right. It is an energy transaction.
Yeah. And I think that in anything, whether it's a full-time job, whether it's as entrepreneurs, like you have to constantly make decisions about things like that, and you need to have some rule of thumb. Yeah, because you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna get a lot of opportunities, a lot of exposure, and even though things sound super nice, if you know the energy it requires and it's not worth your time, don't do it. And there's things like, even recently I've just been doing, and I'm like, I've waited my whole career to have brand deals, I've waited my whole career to do this and that, and then I try it out, because you have to have your first time doing everything, and then sometimes it's like, oh, it's like not exactly energetically how I thought it would feel. Yeah. And that's fine. You just need to make the right decision for next time. Exactly. Because now you know what it takes, and if you keep wasting the energy, that's energy taken away from something else that could propel your career, that could, you know, make you go further. So it's constantly that decision-making process. So I think that's really good.
And like I told you earlier, I stepped away from a hugely lucrative project. Yeah. In the last few months.
Yes.
I mean,
like a big art,
huge
project.
Hugely lucrative. Yeah. And I stepped away. Yeah. Because I was not about to lose my sanity. Yeah. Because I couldn't energetically vibe with the people I was going to have to do business with.
Yeah, I think this is so interesting too, because it's like, it's not just in corporate. It's not when you leave your job. Like, I used to think when I left my job, everything was going to be fixed. You know, like that was the cause of all of my problems, right? But it's like, it's lack of skills. And I think whenever you work for yourself and you're meant to work for yourself, you learn these skills really quickly. You just it's faster. I think it's easier. It's more fun. But you still have to use them.
Yeah.
Like, you use them every single day. Yeah. Still.
And also with working for yourself versus working for a corporate organization. Yeah. You have the privilege of being able to walk away.
Oh my God.
Exercise that privilege.
Seriously.
You have it. Exercise it. Okay, babe? Because we do not need, if I'm going to be verbally abused, I would have stayed in corporate America.
Thank you.
Babe. I would have stayed.
At least that paycheck was guaranteed.
At least I was getting benefits, babe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it doesn't work. Like, if I
Right.
wanted to be, like, talked down to,
Yeah.
you know, I would have stayed in particular jobs.
Yeah. 100%.
But I don't want that.
100%.
I value my self-esteem,
Yeah.
my intellect, my mental health.
That's like the whole point. That's like the whole point of working for yourself.
Yeah.
To have that freedom.
That freedom. So yeah, sure. I was gonna get all of this money
Yeah.
for this project that like would have like changed my life probably.
Yeah.
But again, the same way I
Mhm.
left a very well-paying contract job, because it was costing me my mental health, I had to remind myself, Anna, why did you leave? And it's a daily reminder.
Yeah, I know. Ooh, that's so good.
It's a daily, because a lot of the times you look back at your previous experiences with rose-colored glasses and you're like, you know, maybe corporate life really wasn't that bad. You're like, you know, the stability was kind of nice and this, that, and the other. But you have to remind yourself.
The price.
Journal. Write it down.
Oh,
Write down how you feel in this exact moment doing the job that you're doing.
Oh my God.
Write down the details, the excruciating details of your day to day that make you have a pit in your stomach, that make you have like a knot in your throat, that make you feel nauseous the day before you go to work on Monday. Write it down, because we forget.
We do. No, it's so good. Like video diary, like whatever you need to do to remember, because it keeps coming up. And I think people don't mention that. Like, I always say this to my fiance. It's like, once you choose your dream life, like you have to keep choosing it.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be new things that come in and they try to like, it's a little tempting. You think,
It is.
oh, like this is good or this is good. It's like, remember your values. Why did you do it in the first place?
Exactly.
You left your job to have the freedom or to have the creativity, the fun, the art. If you're not having that consistently along your journey, what's the point? You might as well have stayed where you were.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Never compromise.
Yeah.
With your dream.
Period.
Do not compromise. It is not worth it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
You are allowed to change course and you are allowed to adjust. And like you said, something might not be what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
That's totally okay. But if you are settling for something because you've convinced yourself you can't find better.
Yeah.
If I had convinced myself with this lucrative project, oh, there isn't going to be a better project than that, I wouldn't be what I'm doing now, starting the new projects I'm starting, having way more fun doing this.
That's so good. Yeah, because it's like, I think we forget, like, it's not when you like leave something, it's like gone forever. It's like it gets replaced by something better.
Oh,
so
yeah.
are you leaving room for that better, or are you settling for less because you're scared that you're not going to get something better?
Exactly.
Because you will if you are persistent about it.
Yeah.
You know,
there have been so many people I've said no to in the past 3 months.
Yeah.
And I'm about to say no to another person. And not because what they're offering isn't cool.
Yeah.
But I have something cooler. And I want to do the cooler thing.
Exactly. And you have to be firm on, like, you have to kind of trust yourself on those big decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is like, I don't know if you've experienced this, I'm sure you have, like going from being in the beginning of your career to like now. I mean, I guess it's still beginning, but like, you know, to where you are now. How do you feel that abundance? Because I think we're so used, especially like coming from, you know, corporate or just choosing a career path out of fear, choosing a degree out of fear, that we don't know how to choose for abundance. Like we don't know how, because a lot of us don't even think it's possible to enjoy our job or to have a fun, even more fun project than the one we just got offered. Like, how do you get in that?
You
headspace?
have to, and this is something that's changed my life. You absolutely have to believe that your best days are ahead of you. Because if you believe it, you'll most likely be able to bring that to fruition.
Yeah.
If you believe that your best projects and your best work is in the past, well, then that's going to be true.
Yeah.
That is going to be true. Because you made it so.
Exactly.
And I'm not a big fan of like woo-woo manifestation. But like there is a grain of truth that comes with that. You know?
It's kind of like whatever you believe is true.
Yeah. So whatever you believe
you
often is true. Like I believed that I was going to be able to kick down the door of the fine art industry, and I did.
And you did.
And I did. And if I didn't believe I could, then I wouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How did you make that transition from like, I'm new, I'm delusional, to like, oh wait, I'm getting tangible experience. Like, this is real.
Yeah. I started with like, you know, you start with one thing. You're like, let me do this one project and see how it works. Like whether it's one event or, you know, and even if you don't keep it to the fine art industry, if you're trying to make an app, like, okay, let me practically start working on it and putting real energy towards this.
Yeah.
And then you have what you call an MVP. I'm going to steal this from the corporate world.
I know. I saw
minimum viable product from project management.
Yep.
You have your MVP.
Yeah.
And you're like, how can I make this MVP look cooler? You know, I have, you know, an exhibition, for instance. Okay, how can I build on that? Let me bring people here and make a community.
Yeah.
Let me start monthly events. And you start that. Okay, now that I have these monthly events established, maybe there's businesses who want like part of that, who want to be involved in my said community.
Yeah.
Then you start putting together a proposal deck.
Yeah.
For these businesses.
To be sponsors.
To be partners, to be vendors, to be whatever.
Yeah. You're making it valuable for those.
Yeah. You already have the
companies.
events.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, let me now do this other thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we like tell ourselves, oh, I need a ton of capital to do this. Oh, I need like money to do this. Not necessarily.
Yes. No, talk about it, because I feel like this has been such a thing.
So the setting up of my like legal framework of my organization, that obviously costs money, and there's just like hard costs to that.
Yeah.
And that part you just can't get away from.
Yes.
But the day-to-day business operations, it's a lot of I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Okay.
You do favors, you get favors.
Okay.
You build community with other people. You add value, they add value.
Okay.
There are so many things that I've gotten for free from people because I'm showing them that I am also there for them. There have been people who have been selfless and given me things for free, and I haven't even given them anything yet. But what I am doing is I'm keeping them in my mind in the future, because there's you as a ethical business owner, you need to know when it's your time to give back.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You need to know when it's your time to bring others up with you. There's this one business owner. She gave me the beautiful, beautiful flower arrangements.
Okay.
For my Juneteenth exhibition. Shout out Floriculture. And she put together the most artistic, stunning, magnificent, huge flower arrangements for my inaugural exhibition.
Oh, that's so nice.
She asked nothing of me, and she knew my potential. She believed in my dream, and she just did it.
Yeah.
And it cost me nothing because she invested in my vision.
Yeah.
And now she's constantly in the back of my mind.
Yeah. Like, how am I going to get back to this person? How am I going to help her?
I'm constantly trying to figure out, when I do find financial success, how can I give back to Amy?
Yeah.
How can I give back to her?
Yeah.
Because that's such a huge gesture that I don't take lightly. And I will forever talk about her goodness and her generosity.
Yeah.
And how talented she is. But I cannot continue forever to take things from people without giving back.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it works in a cycle.
Yeah.
Like, people are always, I think people think like, oh, no one wants to help me, no one cares about me, but like you'll be surprised, a lot of people see themselves in you when they just like you're starting and they're like, I remember what it was like when I was starting, or I see how much potential this girl has, and they're happy to support you. Like, of course there's gonna be people who don't support you, but there's also a lot of people who do want to support you.
For every like back 5 no's, you'll get 1 yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll get someone who wants to participate because they just believe in you as a person. Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, one day I'll be able to give back to Amy and to everyone who's believed in my vision.
And it's just like it's a cycle. It just keeps running, going on in the world. Yeah. And then so like when you were starting, you were like, okay, let me just like use all the resources I can to start up what I had. So like, what was your first big project that you were like, okay, this is the thing I'm going to iterate on until I just work my way up until getting to my goal?
It was the Juneteenth exhibition.
It was the Juneteenth. Oh, wow.
And so that's like, my first solo project. Gotcha. So that's when everything was on my back.
Oh. Did you, I want to ask before that too, like, did you say like, I'm leaving my job and you're like going to these, you know, you wanted to do art, you know, you enjoyed it. When you were looking around at the events you were attending, did you have an idea of exactly what you wanted to do? Or was it just kind of like, I just like art, I want to be around it, you know?
I didn't know what that looked like until I overheard this person talking about how they want a gallery, and I'm like, I can do that. I could so do that. And so I was like, yeah, I know a gallerist. I know multiple gallerists. I can do that.
Because you were going to all these events. Yeah. And learning about them.
And I've also I've participated in setting up things like this before. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Okay. And so I get the paperwork and stuff ready with my agreement with the Tower Club and everything. Yeah. And I had to put the first show together in record time, just 2 weeks.
Was this
2 weeks? I had 2 weeks to prepare this show.
Wow. With all of the artists and everything.
Yes.
And did you have these artists like ready to call? And
some.
Okay.
I had some.
Okay.
I did not. Actually, I had like a third of the artists that I need.
What were you doing? Were you just like...
I was freaking out. I was freaking out. But again, if I don't believe in myself, no one else will.
Totally.
I had this like delusion that I could just do anything. Okay. And at some point it's not a delusion anymore.
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's delusional until it's not.
Yeah, until it's right in front of you.
Until you have a literal exhibition in front of your eyes and you're like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Wow, that wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Because I broke it down into these very attainable steps.
Okay.
And so I start calling artists. And I start calling resources because I know gallerists and they have artists. And I start reaching out to artists on Instagram and I tell them, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm putting together.
Yeah.
And I'm so very grateful that these artists believed in me. This first group of artists, they had not seen me do a show before.
Wow.
They had, many of them didn't know me really at all. It was a stranger reaching out to them on Instagram.
Wow.
At the time. And being like, I'm starting a gallery at the Tower Club. So it's like, I don't know how they believed it, but they did. And they believed in me.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. And so I owe them everything.
I know, it's like you were my start.
Wow, you believed in me that I was going to be able to produce this gallery.
Yeah. And of course the artists want to like, they want exposure.
Of course.
So you're like, okay, there's going to be a lot of people here.
Of course.
Okay,
yeah. And what I'm doing is that, I'm putting together all the contracts. I'm trying to put like everything, the insurance policies, the contracts, the this, that, and the other, and getting people like drop off dates, install dates. That like 2 weeks, dude. 2 weeks.
How did you know what to do? Previous experience?
Yeah, previous experience. It was just a lot. And also, ChatGPT is a great resource. You could ask ChatGPT to outline these steps for you. Describe a day in the life of a gallery owner. If I were to put together this show, what do I need to do it?
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Like, explain the situation to ChatGPT like they're your bestie.
That's so funny.
And it's going to spit back an answer. And
it's never been easier to be a gallery owner, has it?
For real. For real. So it's like you have very little excuses these days.
True. So true.
Because everything is at your disposal.
I feel like this tends to like overwhelm people or cripple them because they're like it tends to get into this like perfectionist cycle because it's like, they're seeing so many people do things because we have the exposure to social media, and then they're seeing all the options, and then they kind of feel paralyzed by it. But from your story, I'm hearing a lot of like iteration, like try again, do it again, keep doing it.
The first exhibition was just, the way I put it together was not the best way that I could put an exhibition together. I had feedback from multiple artists about my process, about my communication.
Oh, this is so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am not perfect.
I mean, none of us are perfect.
Like, I had an artist tell me, like, I had an impression that this was going to happen, and it didn't happen, and I'm disappointed. And that hurts to hear, but it's so necessary to hear that, because, and I don't blame that artist. They are completely valid.
Yeah.
They did what was best for them. And so at the end of the day, like, I had other artists give me feedback on my contract and being like, this is predatory. They're like, X, Y, and Z, this is not a good way to phrase this clause. Like, you need to change that. I'm not signing this. And I'm like, no, of course. Like,
you're like, tell me.
This is my first time putting a contract like this together. Like, let me fix it, you know? And so I sent multiple drafts to my artists. I had multiple artists being like, I don't like this phrase. And then a different artist like, I don't like this phrase. And so I tell one of my artists, like, oh, so-and-so told me to change this. Do you like this new version or the old version better? They're like, yeah, that artist is right. And so I'm collaborating with my artists to make a good contract that's fair. At least as fair as I know how to make it in the first try.
I think that's so good. Like, I think we tend to look at people and their success and think like everything went smoothly from there, but it's like it usually just starts off with like a crappy first draft.
It is
a lot of feedback,
and it's a crappy first draft because of me, not because of my artist. My artist's work is phenomenal, and they're so talented, and a lot of my artists have way more experience in the fine art world than I do. I'm the newbie in this relationship between me and my artists.
But that's why it's so good, because you learn from their experience.
Exactly. And I absolutely get schooled. I get schooled and I get roasted.
Do you invite this? I've had to learn, because I still don't think I'm the best at feedback, but I'm so much better than in the beginning of my like entrepreneurial career, because I need the feedback.
Oh yeah. If you're going to start a business, you check your ego at the door. Check your ego at the door. You are going, listen to me. You are going to suck. You're going to be caca doo-doo.
Literally, listen.
In the beginning.
And that's okay.
That is okay.
Yeah.
The world will go on.
It will.
You will be able to go to the next project and probably also suck. A little bit less that time, though.
I think it's like, there's like literally this freedom, though.
Yes.
Because I'm a perfectionist and I can recognize that. But there's this freedom and liberation in saying, this will suck, and there's no other option.
No, there's no other option.
You will always look back at your first project and be like, that was awful, but I'm glad I did it. Yes. You know, and I think like we need to keep reminding ourselves of that. Even to this day, you will keep feeling like the loser.
And you have to be so willing to accept that it was your fault. Because it was.
Period.
Because it was.
It was.
And it's okay that it was your fault.
Yeah.
Because you're a human being doing something for the first time.
Exactly.
And you're not an expert.
Exactly.
And you're not the best communicator because you've never had to communicate this before.
Yes. Yeah. And like, give yourself some grace. Like, that's okay. But that's these artists telling you this with their years of experience. Like, the people attending, whoever is giving this feedback, they're giving you the cheat sheet. Like, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't interpret it that way in the beginning. I'm like, no, actually, you want to give people the crappiest first draft because they're going to tell you everything that they don't like. And now you don't have to guess anymore.
No, you don't have to guess. Yeah, absolutely. And it hurts. It hurts to hear these things. But yeah, you have to have a level of emotional intelligence to accept feedback, especially with something that's your baby, that you worked so hard. The amount of grueling hours I put in to set up the first installation, I would come home and I would crawl in my house because my feet hurt so much from installing work all day that the soles of my feet were in such excruciating pain without even me stepping on it, just like sitting.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was working. I was so like, I did not have the proper footwear. I did not have the proper like anything, equipment or anything. And so you learn, and it's a lot of trial and error, but it's so worth it because you love what you do and you put it together yourself, and it's your baby, and it's so hard to hear that your baby is ugly.
I know. And it's like, it's like not personal.
Yeah, it's
because
not.
It's just someone else interpreting, but you love your child in a way no one else does.
Exactly.
So you're like, no, but I know it has potential. But it's like, that's okay. Just know that like it's not personal.
Exactly.
And you know the potential of your child, and you're like, it can look so pretty if I just put on this outfit. And it's like, that's okay. No, keep the vision.
Right.
And I think there's gonna be this like gap all the time of like, I see where it's going. I'm not there yet. There's something I don't know. But like, as long as you hold on to it, you're headed in that direction. And there's something that you said that like I just love, because that's exactly what I was thinking, which is like, it's so worth it though. Like the long hours, the slaving away, the constant feedback, like whatever.
Right.
I don't know. And I've just recently like quit another gig that just didn't feel fulfilling to me. So maybe I'm just like feeling this a little bit more, but I'm like, I am even more, now that this gig is ending, I'm so much more grateful for the failure, the long hours, whatever, because I'm like, at least it's my own thing. It fills you up in a way I've never had with any other job. Yeah. Because it feels like my life now. It feels like my purpose. It's bigger than a job.
I built this.
Yeah.
Brick by brick.
Yeah.
From the ground up. And it's like so satisfying because at first, like if you told me last year that I would have what I have and that I'd be in the position that I'd be like, how does that would break my brain, because I wouldn't even know how to get there. And I don't know if I knew how to get there when I started either.
Yeah.
But you start anyways.
Tell them.
I need everyone who's listening to understand this. That like nobody knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
Nobody knows what they're doing. Nearly everybody is faking it.
Seriously.
And the sooner you internalize that, the better it will be.
Yes, and I can just start too. I don't need this too. You don't need the capital. You don't need the network. You literally build it from scratch. Everyone has to at some point in their life. Even if they're given something right now, it's not going to last unless they know how to do it.
Yeah, and so absolutely. For those people who do have the capital and can invest, it'll make it easier for you. Totally. And that is true. If you could, get a loan from mom and dad, that's also easier. Right. But it's like a lot of people who are successful today didn't start with anything.
Yes. And look at those people and mimic their journey, because it's probably what you're going to have to do. Exactly. Like, don't waste time thinking about the people who had X, Y, and Z that you don't have. Yeah. They just have that, and they're going to have a different trajectory. But there's going to be a point in their career that the skill needs to skill. Yeah. You can't continue to sell if you don't know how to sell. Right. You can't continue to make capital if you don't know how to make capital. Like, you have to learn how to do these things. And I think I just feel like it's so important that people remember why they're doing all of this. And I think that's what makes it fulfilling.
Like every week, if not every day. Yeah.
I think that's totally valid. I feel like journaling is my thing. So
Yeah.
I'm like, journaling.
Yeah.
Journal. Because especially if you're on your own, you need to give yourself structure that like a job or a boss or your team's quarterly goals don't give you. So just continuing to come back to like, this is why it's worth it. This is why I love this. This is who I'm trying to help by doing what I do every day. Because it's going to be a lot of free hours. It's going to be a lot of times I'm talking free, like you're not getting paid, or like it's going to be a lot of like reaching out, nobody answers. And it's like, but there needs to be some enjoyment you get out of it. And if it's not enjoyable by you just doing it, like not getting anything back by just doing it, I don't think it's going to last. It's not saying that you won't get paid. That stuff will come. If you enjoy what you do, if you're willing to give, if you're there for a mission, it'll come. But if that's not there, then maybe something about your field or what you're doing or the type of work you're doing isn't the thing. Right. You know, I think it should give you something back. I think that's really important. But speaking about like some of that like success, like you looking back and being like, how did the hell would I have gotten there? Yeah. I want to talk just like brag on you a little bit, like your successes of like how far you've come. Because you quit your job when, or that contract job when?
January of 2024, this year.
That still blows my mind. So you quit your job January this literal year.
Yes.
And now you are like a literal art dealer.
Yes.
You are working in multiple galleries. You're curating art.
Right.
You have your own company. You have a business partner. You're meeting with like high execs in different organizations. Like, talk to me about everything that's going on now.
Yeah.
How different it was then.
Yeah.
You know, like money, what you're doing every day, like what.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So on a day to day, like what it looks like for me is often like a portion of my day is spent planning out the day and the week. Okay. Like literally putting stuff on the calendar. What am I going to accomplish today? Like what are non-negotiables that need to go live or whatever? Yeah. Then we go to like, what are some aspirational things that I might not be able to do today, but I will maybe if I have the time and if I'm super productive, sure. Then I need to catch up. What do I need to follow up on from the previous conversations of this week or last week? Yeah. Did I miss a text from last month that I'm like, I go through my text sometimes. I'm like, did I just forget to respond to someone? Or because that's always at the back of my head. Yeah. And then the next thing is, of course, like going out and doing lead generation and scoping. So like I'm going to events and I'm just putting myself out there. Hey, I'm Anna. I have a gallery at the Tower Club. Nice. I host monthly events. They range from networking events to gallery receptions to holiday parties to whatever it is. Nice. And I'm trying to build community up here. Yeah. With creative professionals and people alike. Yeah. And I would like to know if you want to be part of that in any capacity. And
I love the pitch.
Yeah.
First, take notes.
Yeah.
Love the pitch.
Do you want to be part of that? Because I'm building something really cool up here on the 48th floor of Santander Tower. Yeah. And people are starting to come more and more. People are interested. People are yearning for community. Yeah. And I'm here to provide it. Yeah. So I just like, there's so many questions, but I just like love, I love what you built. Like, one, I want to talk about how, well, I know you talked about when you were visiting and attending these events, you started to notice a gap in the art world. Right. And you were like, okay, I can do something about this. So I just wanted to note, one, I think that's amazing because when you put yourself out there, you start to know the problems because a lot of people are like, I don't know what I want to do. And sometimes you just won't know. You have to be around it to do it. But since you noticed that problem, how were you like, how do I create a solution around this? And then how do I sell the solution? Yeah. Because that's essentially what you did that back then and you're still doing it. Yeah. Like it's still something you have to do every single day. Yeah. So the gap that I saw in the art world, in the gallery world is, especially in Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas has a unique problem. Oh, okay. Yes. that doesn't exist in LA or New York.
Okay, I see.
Dallas is so corporate. It's so corporate to the point where galleries, many of them, give that corporate vibe. The way you interact with these galleries is also very corporate and cold.
Yeah.
And it's hard because like I don't want to say anything bad about like galleries.
Yeah.
But in cities like LA, there is such a robust art culture that exists.
Okay.
Like people go to art shows just to like shoot the shit and like go and
Just
like
to hang out.
Yeah. Just to hang out.
Yeah.
And like be with one another.
Right.
Like, oh, it's an art show that the artist made out of scraps of garbage and pencils and eraser shavings. I'm there.
Enough.
People are just there because they're curious. They're like, well, how did what were they able to do with that?
I see.
It's a golf art show where people make art out of like golf balls and whatever and turf grass. I don't know.
And I feel like if it's a culture to like hang out at these
they're
things,
like
you're bringing people who are not into art as well.
It's like third places, which I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you want me to describe what third places are?
Yeah.
Your a first place is like home. A second place is like work.
Yeah.
Your third place is where you go to exist and to hang out. Back in the day, those used to be pubs. Like in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Like the pub in that show or whatever it is. And so all of that to say, like, people yearn for these third places, especially post-pandemic.
Yeah.
People really, really want to like be around other people.
Yes.
And just to have an excuse to hang out where they don't necessarily have to spend money. And like that's a gap that I saw because everywhere else there's this like really robust art culture where people are having fun all the time. And in Dallas it's so corporate. And I'm like, I feel like we can do something about this. Let's inject culture into the fine art world. Like there are galleries that are constantly, instead of us constantly rotating the same 5 artists in this gallery, in this gallery, in this gallery, in this gallery, I want to see
different
new stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to see a South Asian exhibition. I want to see an Eastern European exhibition.
Yeah.
I want to see something strange,
Yeah.
something funky. I want to see a trash exhibition with garbage, making art out of garbage. Yeah, I don't care what it is. I want
something different,
something crazy or different. I want to see an exhibition made out of curtain drapes. I don't know. Anything but what we have right now.
No, I know. Like, there's so much that I want to talk about. There's so much to ask. I mean, this is just so amazing for artists, people, anyone who just wants to start something new.
Yeah.
But I'll say the last question that I will ask is just kind of like, if you could give a little bit of like, what do you feel like is next for you? And also, what do you feel could be like a hack, a mindset shift, a tip for people wanting to get into this? Like, what would you give them to start?
The first thing is you need to start writing down, pencil on paper, like put numbers on a page. What is it going to look like if you did X, Y, and Z? Like start doing just research. Ask ChatGPT. It doesn't matter. like try to write down numbers, make it tangible. Okay. And try to figure out what are the initial steps that you would have to do to get whatever you want to get started. And at that point, it's just like, okay, then what's the next thing? You accomplish that, and it's always baby steps. Always. And that's so cliche, but it's so true. There's no like sexy answer to this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no there's no become a millionaire overnight sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
People want hacks and people want instant solutions, but the thing is that it's the grunt work. It's the everyday grunt work that you have to put in for yourself.
Yeah.
And not for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what's next for me, I'm getting into the fine art staging world for luxury homes.
Oh, I love that.
Yes,
Amazing.
because, you know, I have artists who want exposure and obviously we want to make sales. So yeah, that's
go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
No, I think that's cool because also I feel like you're bringing that like diversity into that new space as well, right? Like not seeing the same typical things in staging, just bringing it in. Also, I just want to touch on, like, she's also an amazing artist. Like, she also paints and she does, I'm sure you do other things as well, but like, I remember just like not too long ago going to her like paint and sip parties and events. Like she was hosting these events in the community, inviting people, reaching out on Instagram, like doing the grind, posting about her events. And like now it's just insane. Like you're, you know, managing artists and you're a gallery owner and like putting this together. So I just think one that we need to know. I'll put somewhere her art so you could see how amazing it is. But now you just come so far and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you, dear.
It's been so fun talking and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions for Anna, you can leave it in the chat. You can leave it down below. And then I will also put any ways you can get in contact with her if you're interested in talking to her, working with her. Is there anything you would like to tell them or invite them to, or any next things you have coming up?
So you can check out future events for my gallery at lbtgallery.com/events. And you can find out what we're doing in the community. At the very least, just come up here, get involved.
Yeah.
You know, my events are free. So
love it.
You can just show up.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I'll put all your socials and everything so that they know. And thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Guys, if you've been feeling this burning urge lately to quit your job and finally go after the passion you have, this is a story you need to hear. I am so excited for today's episode, and as you probably can tell from the title or thumbnail, we have a special guest, a dear friend of mine, dreamer, creative director, artist, and the visionary behind LBT Gallery. Today's guest, Anna Irvine, is an absolute creative powerhouse and frankly, one of the funniest and most passionate people I know. After several years in corporate, Anna followed those said passions and built a fine art collective that brings beauty out of the traditional galleries and into real life spaces. Her work blends myth, nature, and cultural storytelling, creating unforgettable experiences. She's not just an amazing painter and curator, she's changing how we experience art, and there is so much depth that goes into this beautiful story of the quintessential quit my job to pursue art, except this one I promise has a little bit of spice. I can't wait for you to hear it. Stay tuned for the full breakdown right after this message from our sponsor, Riverside.